Very good afternoon from the sports desk. The Formula E Championship making its pit stop in Cape Town this weekend. It's a street track that has been designed in Greenpoint with 11 teams competing. We've got 22 drivers in those cars and they are all ready for action. In fact, they had already started their action with all the free practices. It's free practices building up to the main race, which starts at 4 o'clock. Now, this series is more than just about the motorsport, right? It's aiming to educate the public about e-mobility and the advantages of it. Joining me now is the eNCA Sport Editor Vata Ngobeni. Good afternoon to you again, Vata. Of course, we've spoken about e-mobility. We had Justin talking about what he had there of alternative options, of course, in terms of biking. So you've got, a battery-powered bike. We've already spoken about a number of things in terms of the cars themselves, the low sound that they make. You took us, in fact, on a tour of all the garages and the kinds of drivers that we can expect, the world champions in the likes of Stoffel van Doren and Jean-Eric Verne. But what we haven't really unpacked in depth is the tourism advantage that is on offer at the moment. Cape Town on its own is a tourist home, it's a tourist hub, it's a tourist destination, but this could make it even better, can't it?
No, good afternoon, Morena, without a doubt. I think what happens on the track itself is a sport, but there's more that happens off the track, and that's the tourism aspect of it. We've got the ICC T20 Women's World Cup in town. We've got the Volvo Ocean Race happening. We've got the Ice Hockey World Championships also happening in Cape Town. And with that comes tourism itself. The sport, yes, is important, but there's also a bigger component of the sport being in a city like the city of Cape Town, where it begs itself to tourism. We've seen already, in qualifying now that cars have come together, but more talking about coming together, it's coming together of sport and tourism. And with me, I've got Judy Nokedi, who's CEO of Integrated Service at Tourvest. Judy, good afternoon. And I think the big one, we've got Formula E coming eventually to South Africa. But more than anything, just speak to us about sports tourism and how this impacts on sports tourism.
Well, firstly, to all the viewers, it is a majestically magnificent day in Cape Town, one of the most beautiful destinations in the world. And sport and tourism are integrated, interrelated and complementary. And why do we say that? Because with the insights, the global insights are very clear around what people are looking for when they travel. So when they go to a destination or when there is a sporting event that takes them to the destination, this is where the whole value chain of tourism then comes into play. What is amazing around the sector, of course, sport, is that globally it contributes $7 billion to the economy. And here in Cape Town, over this period, Formula E, notwithstanding all the other sporting events, there is a direct contribution to the economy of over 2 billion rand and more than R500 million of media exposure. So you can see when people arrive, they have to sleep, they have to eat, they have to shop, and they go sightseeing, and then they see all their great sporting heroes.
Judy, I know that obviously 2 years of COVID really hampered and almost decimated the tourism industry. How critical is it that we have these sporting events to, again, almost reignite tourism in the country?
Well, these are great activations that just leapfrog you into a new paradigm. So we are actually now, we've recovered, and now we're building for the future. And what is important around tourism into the future is around sustainability. And that is why we, as an integrated tourism company, travel is only one of the things we do. We do the fan packages, we do the tours, we do logistics, we do event management. It's really around how you can now bid for these big global events. I mean, the forecast for an event like Formula E, it's 33,000 spectators on the ground, 10,000 international visitors, 10,000 Africans or Africans, and then of course your domestic market. So you can see what you need is a major kind of a huge 320 kilometer energy bolt to then just not even kickstart, just take tourism to another level. And we can see that in Cape Town. Cape Town is full. It is exciting. Everywhere you go, there are different accents, and people are eating out. Our small and medium-sized enterprises are benefiting in terms of the value chain of tourism. And that is why we say that sport is such a vital lever for tourism. And over and above that, what sport does is you have to invest in infrastructure. You can't have a major sporting event without the stadia, without excellent world-class facilities. It is great for your brand exposure. And then, of course, there is the economics, which I've talked about, $7 billion globally, $2.5 billion directly into the Cape Town fiscus. And then, of course, social. There is no doubt that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, when you sit around a table and you talk about sport, you all know the tempers flare, but it brings us together. And of course, we are now preparing for the World Cup Rugby. Tourvest is a major travel partner for World Cup Rugby. And so we know that sport can play a huge unifying role in a country. And don't we need that as South Africans at the moment?
Judy, and I'll take advantage of this with your other hat as Chair of Gauteng Tourism. You've got the Kyalami now, you've got the Formula E happening in Cape Town.
Formula One.
No, I'm saying the Formula E happening in Cape Town this weekend. Is there no concern that we're almost cannibalizing ourselves when it comes to your motor fans and obviously your overseas market that's coming into the country? Don't you think going into the future maybe we should separate these major two motorsporting events and not have them on the same weekend in different provinces?
I mean, I feel that actually absolutely intimately, because as Chair of Gauteng Tourism, I'm meant to be at Kyalami 9 Hour because that is where the event is hosted. And we have a huge following around Kyalami. And then I'm here because this is Tourvest, this is my daily bread. So I can't exactly port myself unless I create an avatar. This is all where the world is going around tourism, you know, avatars, computer-generated images, artificial intelligence. But I think the lesson very clearly for us as South Africans is we have to play, we have to fight, and we have to win as SA Inc. so that you don't, as you say rightfully, cannibalize the market. And you know from eNCA that Gautengers are big travelers and they're big spenders. So we've got Gauteng people here, but at the same time the loyalties are, I've got Kyalami 9 Hour, Formula E here. But the lesson is if we don't strategize as South Africa and not compete as provinces, we will divide people unnecessarily, where if it was another weekend, we would have had people staying for 2 weeks. They do Cape Town, they do Johannesburg, but I can guarantee all the viewers that Formula One will not be competing with any of the other FIA products. It will be a standalone, and we invite everyone to get ready to come to Formula One in Johannesburg in 2024.
Thank you very much, Judy. And there you have it, Morena. We've got Formula E, we've got Kyalami 9 Hour, but the big one, Morena, is Formula One. We've been praying for it. We wanted Formula One, and it seems like South Africa is going to get a Formula One race in the not too distant future. And if it does come, it's going to come back to home of motor racing in South Africa, and that will be Kyalami. So have a look out, Morena. The FIA has got to pronounce soon. And it's got to give South Africa a Formula One race. But again, when it comes to sport and tourism, it's a very, very big market, and it comes together nicely to again revitalize the broken tourism market, but also again make sure that South Africa stands out as a sport tourism maker, not just on the continent but in the world as well.